They made the decision and you enforced it. They ended it. Or they created conditions that forced you to end it. Either way, they wanted out, wanted space, wanted distance, wanted freedom from the pressure of relationship that required more than they could give. The decision was theirs. Was their defended state choosing self-protection over connection? Was their patterns choosing familiar isolation over uncomfortable intimacy? They made the decision, set the words, or created the distance that made the words inevitable. They decided it was over. And you said okay, not okay as in you were fine with it. Okay as in you accepted their decision, took them at their word, believed them when they said they wanted out, and believing them you enforced the decision. You went no contact. Complete no contact. No texts, no calls, no checking in, no breadcrumbs, no casual reach outs, no staying friends, no keeping door open, nothing. You made their decision final through your enforcement, made the ending they chose into actual ending, made the words they said into reality they have to live with. And they can't believe it, can't believe you took them seriously, can't believe you actually left, can't believe you actually gone, can't believe the decision they made is permanent, can't believe they don't have access to you anymore. Can't believe you're enforcing no contact when every other person they've pushed away has eventually come back, has eventually reached out, has eventually given them opening to restore connection without them having to be vulnerable enough to pursue directly. But you're not coming back. You're not reaching out, you're not giving them opening, you're holding them to their decision. And holding them to their decision is teaching them through consequence what words never taught them. That decisions have results, that endings can be permanent, that pushing people away can cost you the people, that they don't have control they thought they had, that saying you want someone gone doesn't mean you actually want them gone when they go. Why no contact is destroying them in ways they didn't anticipate. They expected to feel relief, expected the pressure to lift, expected the discomfort of intimacy to resolve through distance. And initially they did feel relief. For days or maybe weeks they felt free. Free from having to show up, free from having to meet you, free from feeling guilty about not meeting you, free from the relationship that was requiring more emotional availability than they could provide. The relief was real, was confirmation they made right decision, was proof that they needed the ending. But relief turned to something else, turned to awareness that you're actually gone, turned to missing you in ways they didn't miss you while you were there trying, turned to obsessive thinking about you now, that thinking about you doesn't lead to you being available, turned to panic about permanence, turned to desperate need to know if door is still open, if you're still available, if they could have you back if they wanted you back. The turning from relief to panic is teaching them something devastating, that they didn't want freedom from you. They wanted freedom from the discomfort of intimacy while keeping you available. But you enforced the decision, made it freedom from you entirely. And freedom from you entirely is lonelier than intimacy with you ever was uncomfortable. No contact is also destroying them because it's removing their control. They're used to controlling the distance. They withdraw, you pursue. They create space, you try to close it. They push, you pull. The dynamic gave them control. They could regulate intimacy through creating distance while you maintained connection through pursuit. But no contact removed their control. They can't regulate anything. Can't create distance, then restore closeness. Can't push, then pull you back. Can't manage intimacy through manipulation of distance, because there's no intimacy to manage. There's just absence. And absence can't be controlled, can't be manipulated, can't be regulated through their usual tactics. The loss of control is panic-inducing, is showing them they control the dynamic through your participation. Without your participation, they have no control, have no power, have nothing but consequence of their decision that you're enforcing, without mercy. No contact is destroying them because it's making the ending real. While you were available, while you were responding even minimally, while there was contact, the ending wasn't fully real. Was theoretical, was reversible, was temporary state that could change. But no contact makes it real, makes it undeniable, makes it look like permanent, makes them face that they might have actually lost you, that they might not get another chance. The realness is confrontation with permanence, with consequences, with fact that their patterns just cost them someone who mattered. The confrontation is happening in their mind constantly, is teaching them what they destroyed, what they lost, what their decision actually meant, and what it meant is worse than what they thought it would mean. The specific ways they're trying to break your no contact without directly breaking it. They're watching everything you do from distance, not reaching out but monitoring, checking what you post, watching your activity, seeing who you're with, trying to gather information about your state, your life, your availability, without having to contact you directly. The monitoring is them trying to maintain connection through surveillance, trying to still have access to you without violating the no contact you've established, trying to still be part of your life through observation, even though they're not part of your life through interaction. The desperate surveillance is revealing how much they're struggling with your absence, how much they need information about you, how much they can't fully let go even though letting go was their decision. They're using mutual friends as proxies, asking about you, bringing you up in conversation, trying to get information, trying to send messages through intermediaries, trying to maintain some thread of connection through other people when direct connection is cut off. The use of proxies is them trying to circumvent your boundary, trying to find loopholes, trying to get to you without having to directly reach out and risk rejection. The proxy contact is cowardice, is them wanting connection but not wanting vulnerability of pursuing connection, wanting to know about you but not wanting to be direct about wanting to know. The cowardice is proof they haven't changed, are still defended, are still unable to pursue directly, are still trying to get what they want without having to risk anything. They are creating situations where accidental contact might happen, showing up places they think you'll be, going to spots you frequent, creating proximity without creating interaction, hoping for accidental encounter that would restore contact without them having to intentionally restore it. The engineered accidents are them trying to make fate responsible for reconnection instead of taking responsibility themselves, trying to make it look like chance instead of choice, trying to restore contact in ways that don't require vulnerability. The engineering is manipulation, is them still playing games, still trying to control outcomes without being direct, still unable to just reach out and say what they want. The games are evidence that no contact is necessary, that they're still operating from defended manipulative place, that your boundary is protecting you from more of same patterns. What they're learning about themselves through being cut off completely, they're learning they were depending on you in ways they didn't acknowledge. Your presence was regulating them. Your availability was making them feel secure. Your pursuit was proving they mattered. Your effort was maintaining the relationship while they stayed defended. The depending was invisible while you were there. Felt like you were dependent on them because you were the one pursuing. But no contact is revealing the truth. They were dependent too, just hidden dependent. Dependent on you doing all the work. Dependent on you being available. Dependent on you absorbing all the relationship labor while they coasted. The dependency is visible now through its absence, through them being completely unregulated without you, through them feeling insecure without your pursuit, through them having no relationship labor skills because you were doing it all. The learning is uncomfortable, is destroying the identity of independence they built, is showing them they're not self-sufficient, just defended while dependent on others to accommodate the defended state. They're also learning that their patterns cost them people permanently. Before you, people always came back, always left the door open, always gave them another chance. The always coming back allowed them to maintain belief that their patterns were manageable, that people would tolerate them, that they could push people away and pull them back at will. But you're not coming back, not leaving door open, not giving another chance. The not coming back is teaching them that patterns have permanent costs, that some people when pushed away stay away, that some decisions can't be undone, that some losses are final. The learning is devastating, is destroying the belief system that allowed patterns to continue, is showing them that defended state doesn't protect them, costs them. Costs them specifically the people who won't tolerate being pushed away indefinitely. They're learning they took you for granted in ways they didn't realize, thought what you gave was normal, was what anyone would give, was baseline not exceptional. But no contact is showing them through comparison what you were. Comparison to being alone. Comparison to other people who don't give what you gave. Comparison to the emptiness where your presence used to be. The comparison is teaching them you were exceptional. We're giving them understanding, patience, acceptance that others don't give. We're seeing them in ways others don't see them. We're tolerating patterns others won't tolerate. The exceptional nature of what you gave is visible now through its absence, through them experiencing what not having you is like. And not having you is teaching them that having you was gift they treated as entitlement, gift they destroyed through not appreciating while they had it. The stages they go through as no contact continues. First is denial, denial that no contact is real, that you actually mean it, that you'll actually maintain it. They tell themselves you're just taking space, just temporarily upset, just needing time to cool off. The denial allows them to stay comfortable, to not fully face what's happening, to believe contact will be restored without them having to do anything. The denial is defense against reality, against permanence, against consequence. The denial usually lasts until they test the boundary and discover the boundary is real, until they reach out through proxy or accidentally on purpose and discover you're not engaging. Then denial starts cracking. Second is anger. Anger that you're doing this to them, that you're being cruel, that you're punishing them, that you're being extreme. The anger is projection, is them making your boundary into your attack, making your self-protection into your aggression, making your enforcement of their decision into your rejection of them. The anger is defense. Is easier to be angry at you than to face their role. Easier to make you the bad guy than to acknowledge they created the situation that made no contact necessary. The anger usually gets expressed indirectly, through things they say to mutual friends, through posts designed for you to see, through passive aggression that doesn't require direct contact. The indirect anger is them trying to punish you for the boundary while not breaking the boundary, trying to make you feel bad for protecting yourself. Third is bargaining. Bargaining comes when anger doesn't work, doesn't break your boundary, doesn't make you reach out. They shift from anger to bargaining, to reaching out with olive branches, with apologies, with explanations, with promises of change. The bargaining is them trying to restore contact through appearing reasonable, through seeming like they've grown, through performing awareness of their patterns. The bargaining is manipulation in nicer package, is still them trying to get what they want without actually being different, trying to restore connection without doing work that would make them capable of sustaining connection. The bargaining fails when you don't respond. When you maintain boundary, despite apologies, despite promises, despite performed growth, the failure of bargaining is them learning that words don't work, that you require evidence, not promises, that no contact continues until actual change happens, not until claimed change is announced. Fourth is depression. Depression sets in when all attempts to restore contact fail, when they realize no contact is real, is lasting, is maybe permanent. The depression is grief, is them finally feeling the loss, finally sitting with the consequence, finally facing that they destroyed something they valued. The depression is painful but potentially productive, is the stage where growth could happen if they pursue help, if they use the pain as motivation for therapy, if they let the depression teach them instead of just drowning in it. But most don't pursue help. Just sit in depression, just suffer through it, just experience the pain without transforming it into growth. The depression without growth is wasted suffering, is pain that teaches nothing because the lesson isn't being received. Fifth is acceptance or renewed effort. Some accept the ending, accept the loss, accept that they can't undo it. Move forward without you. The acceptance is healthy, if it includes learning, if they use the experience to grow, if they become a different person who won't repeat patterns. But acceptance can also be resignation, can be them giving up, deciding relationships don't work, becoming more defended, more cynical, more isolated. The resigned acceptance is them staying stuck. Others don't accept, make renewed effort, actually pursue you directly, actually do the work, actually demonstrate change. The renewed effort is rare, is them finally taking responsibility, finally being vulnerable enough to pursue, finally showing up in ways they couldn't show up before. The renewed effort is only meaningful if backed by evidence, by therapy, by sustained behavioral change. Without evidence, renewed effort is just another manipulation, another attempt to restore connection without doing work. Why your no contact is more powerful than any words you could say. Words are debatable, can be argued with, can be explained away, can be defended against. They could tell you that you're wrong, that you're too sensitive, that you're being unfair, that you're not understanding them. Words give them something to respond to, something to push against, something to engage with while staying defended. But no contact gives them nothing to respond to, nothing to argue with, nothing to defend against. Just silence, just absence, just consequence without conversation. The without conversation is what makes it powerful, is them facing result without being able to debate the result, facing loss without being able to negotiate the loss, facing permanence without being able to talk their way out of permanence. No contact is also more powerful because it's your boundary in action, not your boundary in words. They've heard your boundaries before, heard you say what you need, heard you explain what you won't tolerate. And hearing allowed them to ignore, to promise change without changing, to perform understanding without actually understanding. But no contact is boundary through action. Is you showing them what you won't tolerate by removing yourself from what you won't tolerate. The action is undeniable, can't be ignored, can't be promised away, can't be performed around, is just reality of your absence teaching them what words couldn't teach. That boundaries are real, that consequences exist, that you meant what you said about not accepting their patterns. No contact is more powerful because it's creating the conditions where they might actually change. Words from you about what they should do create resistance, create their defense activating, create them feeling controlled, but no contact doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't try to change them, just removes you from dynamic where they can't meet you. The removal creates space, creates consequence painful enough to maybe motivate change, creates situation where if they want you back, they have to become different, have to do the work, have to develop capacity. The maybe changing from no contact is more likely than changing from your words, because no contact is consequence-driven, and consequence-driven change is change that comes from them, from their pain, from their motivation, not from you pushing, not from you requiring, from them deciding that pain of loss is worse than pain of growth. What no contact reveals about whether they were capable of loving you, if they don't pursue after no contact, if they don't do the work, if they don't demonstrate change, they weren't capable of overcoming their patterns, weren't capable of developing capacity relationship requires. The not pursuing is evidence, is proof that whatever they felt for you wasn't strong enough to motivate growth, wasn't strong enough to overcome fear, wasn't strong enough to drive them to therapy, to change, to becoming someone who could actually meet you. The not strong enough feeling is not love that functions, is defended attachment, is caring that exists behind walls but can't break through walls, is feeling without capacity to act on feeling, and feeling without capacity is not enough to build relationship on. If they do pursue after no contact, the pursuit reveals whether capacity exists. Real pursuit comes with evidence, with proof of therapy, with sustained behavioral change over significant time. With developed skills for vulnerability, consistency, emotional availability, real pursuit is them showing you they've become different through actually being different, not through claiming different, not through promising different, through demonstrating different across time in ways you can verify. The demonstration is then proving capacity exists, proving they love you enough to do the work, proving feeling became motivation for growth. That's love that functions. That's love that could build on. That's love that's worth considering. But most pursuit after no contact is just more defended pattern, is them wanting you back without being different, wanting contact without having done work, wanting to restore relationship without developing capacity. The pattern pursuit is them proving they're still incapable, still defended, still unable to do what relationship requires. The incapacity pursuit is evidence that no contact needs to continue, that they're not ready, that they haven't changed, that they love you in defended way that can't sustain relationship, that staying in no contact is protecting you from more of same dysfunction. The evidence, through their pursuit or not, is teaching you what you need to know about their capacity, about whether they can meet you, about whether relationship is possible or whether relationship was always impossible because they're fundamentally unable to do intimacy. How they're romanticizing what you had now that they can't have it. They're remembering relationship as better than it was, forgetting the conflicts, forgetting their withdrawal, forgetting your hurt, forgetting the dysfunction, remembering only the good, the connection, the understanding, the moments when they felt seen, the times when intimacy felt safe. The romanticizing is creating ideal version where relationship was perfect, except for their fear, where you were perfect partner they couldn't receive, where everything would have worked if only they'd been different. The ideal version is easier to carry than complex truth, but ideal version is making them miss something that wasn't entirely real. They're also idealizing you. You become perfect in their memory, all patience, all understanding, all acceptance. Your human complexity disappears. Your needs that they couldn't meet become unreasonable demands in one narrative or completely disappear in another narrative. The real you, who had limits, who had frustrations, who had your own patterns, is replaced by idealized you who could have saved them if only they'd let you. The idealized you is person they can safely miss, because idealized you isn't real person who would require real relationship. Is fantasy they created by removing all complexity and keeping only the beautiful parts. The fantasy you is who they're missing, not real you. And missing fantasy, you, is missing based on distortion, not reality. The romanticizing is also making them believe they destroyed perfect thing through their damage. The narrative is, relationship was perfect, they were damaged, destroyed. Perfection. The narrative is too simple. Removes your agency. Removes the complexity of two imperfect people with different capacities trying to love each other. Removes your role in staying too long, in accommodating too much, in enabling patterns through understanding patterns. The reality is messier. Is both of you creating dynamic? Them through their patterns, you through your responses to their patterns, but messy reality doesn't create the same kind of regret that perfect thing destroyed creates. So they simplify, make it all their fault, make you perfect, make themselves monster. The simplified narrative is defense. Is them maintaining victim identity or monster identity instead of facing that they're human who make choices, and choices have consequences, and consequences are what no contact is teaching them about. Why you maintaining no contact is gift to them even though they can't see it. No contact is giving them consequence they never received. Every other person let them back in, let them restore contact, let them continue patterns. The letting back in prevented learning, prevented growth, prevented them from facing full weight of their pattern's impact. But you're not letting them back in. You're making them live with consequence, making them sit with loss, making them feel full weight of what their patterns cost them. The consequence is teaching, is only thing that might drive change, might drive them to therapy, might drive them to examine themselves, might drive transformation, or might not. But possibility of growth only exists when consequence is real. Your no contact is making consequence real for first time maybe in their life. No contact is also protecting them from continuing to hurt you. They hurt you while you were there, through their patterns, through their inability to meet you, through their defended state creating distance that made you feel unwanted. If you broke no contact, if you let them back in without change, they'd hurt you again. Same patterns would emerge, same dynamic would resume, same pain would be created. No contact is preventing that. Is protecting you, which is protecting them from being person who keeps hurting you. Being person who keeps hurting you would create more guilt, more shame, more damage to them. No contact is protecting you both. Protecting you from being hurt, protecting them from being the one hurting. The protection is gift, even if painful gift. No contact is giving them space to actually work on themselves. While you were available, while contact existed, they could stay focused on relationship, on managing you, on maintaining just enough connection to keep you without having to change. But no contact removes the distraction of relationship, removes the possibility of managing you, forces them to focus on themselves if they're going to focus on anything. The forced self-focus is opportunity, is space where therapy could happen, where growth could occur, where they could become different. Most won't use the space, will just suffer through it. But the space is there, the opportunity is there. That's gift. Gift of space to grow that being in relationship with you prevented, because being in relationship allowed them to stay defended while having you. Without you, defense has no purpose. Purpose could shift to growth, if they choose growth. The choice is theirs, but the space for the choice is gift no contact is giving them. The final truth about them having to live with their decision. They made the decision, you enforced it. The enforcement is teaching them about consequences, about permanence, about what their patterns cost. The teaching is appropriate, is necessary, is what should have happened with everyone they pushed away but didn't happen because everyone else left the door open. You closed the door, locked it, threw away the key. The closed door is boundary working, is consequence functioning, is pattern meeting reality that pattern creates. The reality is loss, is them alone with their defended state, is them living with their decision in ways they never had to live with decisions before. Whether the living with it teaches them anything is their choice. Whether they grow or stay stuck is their path. Whether they use the pain as catalyst or just endure the pain is their decision. You can't make those choices for them. Can't make them grow. Can't make them change. Can't make them do the work. You can only enforce the boundary, maintain the no contact, hold them to their decision, let the consequence do its work or not do its work. The doing or not doing is theirs. Your job is protecting yourself, maintaining the boundary, living your life, healing from the relationship, growing into someone who won't accept defended patterns, growing into someone who requires actual capacity, growing into someone who knows that love without capacity isn't enough, and boundary protecting you from love without capacity is boundary worth maintaining, even when they can't believe you're actually maintaining it. They can't believe it. Let them not believe it while you continue maintaining it. Their disbelief is their problem. Your boundary is your power. Hold it. What they're discovering about themselves in the silence you've created. The silence is forcing self-examination they've never done. While you were available, while contact existed, they could project. Could blame relationship problems on you, on circumstances, on bad timing, on anything external. But no contact removes the projection targets, removes you as explanation for their discomfort, removes relationship as problem to solve, leaves them alone with themselves. And being alone with themselves is confronting them with truth they've been avoiding, the truth that they're the common denominator, that their patterns follow them, that every relationship fails in similar ways, that the problem isn't finding right person, the problem is being wrong person, being defended person, being incapable person. The self-examination is uncomfortable, is showing them things about themselves they don't want to see. But seeing is first step toward changing. Your no contact created the conditions for seeing by removing everything else they could look at instead of themselves. They're also discovering how much of their identity was built on being wanted. They performed not needing, performed independence, performed being fine alone. But underneath the performance was identity built on being pursued, on being wanted, on having people chase them. The chasing proved they mattered, proved they were valuable, proved they had power. But no contact removed the chasing, removed the pursuing, removed the evidence that they matter. And without evidence through your pursuit, they're questioning their value, questioning their importance, questioning whether they matter if no one is demonstrating that they matter through pursuing them. The questioning is identity crisis. Is them discovering that independent identity was dependent on others pursuing? That not needing identity was requiring others to need them? That their defended self-sufficiency was performance requiring audience of people who want them? Without audience, performance is revealed as performance. And revealed performance is destroyed identity. Is them not knowing who they are if they're not person being pursued? The not knowing is painful but potentially transformative if they use it to build real identity instead of performed identity. They're discovering that defended state is lonely. They knew this intellectually, but knowing intellectually is different from experiencing viscerally. No contact is making them experience the loneliness viscerally, is making them sit in the isolation their patterns create, is making them feel the emptiness of defended life. While you were there, even at distance, your presence provided connection that made defended state tolerable. But without you, defended state is just isolated, is just alone, is just them in their defended fortress with no one trying to get in and no one inside with them. The experienced loneliness is teaching them that defense doesn't protect them from pain, creates different pain, pain of isolation, pain of being unknown, pain of going through life without deep connection. The teaching is that defended state is protection racket, is trading possibility of pain from intimacy for guarantee of pain from isolation. And pain from isolation is worse than risk of pain from intimacy. But knowing this and changing based on this are different. Most will know and stay defended anyway, because defended is familiar even if painful. Few will know and use knowing as motivation to drop defense, to pursue therapy, to become someone capable of intimacy. The specific moments when your absence devastates them most, they're devastated when something good happens and their first impulse is to tell you. Achievement at work, good news, moment of happiness. And they reach for phone to text you before remembering they can't, before remembering no contact, before remembering you're not available to share with anymore. The reaching then remembering is moment of devastation repeated, is them experiencing your absence through blocked impulse, through wanting to share with you and not being able to, through good thing being less good because you're not there to share it with. The repeated devastation is teaching them you were their person, were the one they wanted to share life with, were the one who made good things better through being there to celebrate them. And being gone means good things are diminished, means happiness is incomplete, means success is hollow, because person they want to share it with is unavailable. The devastation is teaching them what they lost, teaching them through every good moment that becomes less good in your absence. They're devastated when they're struggling and realize they can't turn to you. Crisis happens, something goes wrong, they're overwhelmed or scared or hurting, and they want your support, want your understanding, want your presence that used to make hard things manageable. But they can't reach out, can't ask for help, can't access the support you used to provide. The can't is teaching them what you were giving, teaching them that you were their support structure, were the person they leaned on even while pretending not to lean on anyone, were providing emotional labor they took for granted, were making their life easier in ways they didn't recognize while you were doing it. The devastation of struggling alone is teaching them they weren't as independent as they performed, were depending on you. And depending is gone now. And gone dependence is them being unsupported, being alone with problems, being unable to manage in ways they could manage when you were there providing support they didn't acknowledge needing. They're devastated in quiet moments when there's nothing to distract from your absence. Late at night, early morning, weekend afternoons with no plans. The quiet is when your absence is loudest, is when they can't avoid noticing you're not there. Can't distract from the missing, can't fill the emptiness with activity. Just have to sit with it. Sit with wanting you, sit with missing you. Sit with the space where you used to be that nothing is filling. The quiet devastation is most honest devastation. Is them stripped of defenses, stripped of distraction, stripped of everything except the truth that they miss you and they can't have you, and the can't having is consequence of their choices. The quiet truth is teaching them about cause and effect, about consequences, about what their patterns cost them. The teaching in quiet is most powerful teaching because it's teaching without escape. Just them and truth and absence and learning happening whether they want to learn or not. How no contact is revealing the difference between love and control. They thought they loved you, maybe they did love you, but what they called love was often control, was them controlling the distance, controlling the pace, controlling the terms. Controlling through their withdrawal when you got too close. Controlling through their pursuit when you pulled back. The control felt like relationship to them, felt like connection, but connection was on their terms, at their pace, within their comfort level, never stretching them, never requiring them to be uncomfortable, never demanding they grow. The control as love is what they were operating from, and no contact is revealing the difference. Real love would accept your boundary, would respect your decision, would honor your need for no contact even if it hurts, would understand that you protecting yourself is you doing what's healthy for you, would want you to be healthy even if your health means being away from them. But they don't accept your boundary, don't respect your decision, don't honor your need. They're trying to break the boundary, trying to circumvent the decision, trying to restore contact through manipulation. The trying to break is revealing they want control more than they want your well-being, want access to you more than they want you to be healthy, want relationship on their terms more than they want you to have what you need. The revelation is teaching them what they called love was control. And control isn't love. Control is defended state trying to manage intimacy through managing you, and managing you required your participation. No contact removed your participation, removed their control. And removed control is revealing that what they felt wasn't love, was defended attachment, was needing you while unable to love you properly, was wanting you while unable to be what you need. The revelation is devastation, is them facing that they lost you and what they felt for you wasn't sufficient to keep you because what they felt was incomplete, was feeling without capacity, was attachment without health. Was love, they called it, but wasn't actually love because love would behave differently. Why their regret is permanent regardless of whether they change. They will carry you as the one who got away, not because you were perfect, not because relationship was perfect, but because you enforced the boundary, because you made their decision permanent, because you held them accountable, because you didn't let them back in. The holding accountable is rare in their experience. Most people let them back in, most people give endless chances, but you didn't. You held the line. You maintained the boundary, you made the ending stick. The sticking is what makes you unforgettable, makes you the standard they'll measure all future partners against, makes you the person who showed them that patterns have permanent consequences. The standard setting is permanent mark, is them forever comparing others to person who wouldn't tolerate their patterns, forever wondering what could have been if they'd been different, forever carrying regret about person who got away through their own inability to meet you. The regret is also permanent because no contact prevents closure. Closure comes from conversation, from processing, for mutual understanding of what happened and why it ended. But no contact prevents all of that. Leaves them with unanswered questions, with things unsaid, with lack of resolution. The lack of closure is open wound, is relationship that ended without ending properly, is you who's gone without them fully understanding why you're gone or how to make sense of the goneness. The open wound is permanent ache, is them always wondering, always questioning, always carrying the lack of resolution as permanent incompleteness. And permanent incompleteness is regret, that doesn't fade, that doesn't resolve, that just is, forever. The regret is permanent because time will prove you were right. Right now they might be able to tell themselves you overreacted, you were too harsh, you didn't give them enough chances. But time will prove you right. Time will show them the patterns continue. That next relationship fails in similar ways. That their defended state destroys every connection. That you weren't being harsh, you were being accurate. You saw their patterns clearly, and you protected yourself from those patterns appropriately. The proving you right happens slowly. Happens over years. Happens as they accumulate more failed relationships. More losses. More evidence that you weren't the problem. They were. And being proven right years later means their regret about losing you will intensify. Will grow as they recognize you were the one who saw them clearly, who called them on their patterns, who held them accountable, who got away. And who got away was person who was right. Right to leave. Right to enforce no contact. Right to protect yourself from patterns they still haven't addressed. The growing regret is permanent burden. Is them carrying you forever as person who was right about them and they lost through being unable to prove you wrong. What your no contact is teaching them that they need to learn, they're learning that people have limits, that patience runs out, that understanding doesn't equal accepting harm, that empathy doesn't mean sacrificing self, that accommodation has endpoints, that you can love someone and still leave them, that you can understand someone's wounds and still refuse to be wounded by their wounds. The lessons are fundamental. Are truths about relationship they never learned because people always accommodated them, always gave more chances, always stayed past their own limits. But you didn't. You enforced your limit. You stopped accommodating. You left while understanding them. You chose yourself. The choosing yourself is teaching them that healthy people have boundaries, that boundaries are sign of health, not cruelty, that enforcing boundaries is self-love, not punishment. The teaching is gift, is lesson they desperately need, is information that could change them if they receive it. Most won't receive it. Will interpret your boundary as your cruelty, will make you villain for protecting yourself. But few will receive it, will understand that boundary was appropriate, will use understanding to become person who doesn't make boundaries necessary. They're also learning that defended state costs them people, costs them connection, costs them intimacy, costs them relationship. The cost is undeniable now, is proven through your absence, through their loneliness, through the regret they carry, through the missing that doesn't fade. The cost is education, is them seeing clearly what their patterns create distance that becomes permanent, create withdrawal that becomes abandonment, create defended state that creates isolated state. The seeing is painful but necessary, is them facing truth about their patterns, about what patterns do, about what patterns cost. The facing truth is prerequisite for change. Can't change what you don't see, can't address what you don't acknowledge. Your no contact is forcing the seeing, forcing the acknowledging, creating conditions where truth is unavoidable. Whether they use truth to change or just suffer from truth without changing is their choice. But truth is there, is staring at them, is proving itself through your absence, is teaching them whether they want to learn or not. They are learning that love without capacity is not enough. That feeling deeply doesn't make you capable of relationship. That wanting someone doesn't make you able to be with them. That being attached doesn't mean being able to sustain attachment. The learning is destroying romantic notion that love conquers all. Love doesn't conquer defended state, doesn't conquer attachment wounds, doesn't conquer patterns built over decades. Love is just feeling that needs capacity to function. Capacity is skills. Skills for vulnerability, for consistency, for emotional regulation, for communication, for showing up. They had feeling, they didn't have skills. Feeling without skills is love that can't work, is love that destroys itself, is love that costs them you. The learning that love isn't enough is devastating, is destroying their belief that caring about you should have been sufficient, is showing them that caring isn't capacity. That wanting isn't having skills to sustain. That loving you defended is loving that can't function. The devastation is truth. Truth they need. Truth that might drive them to therapy to develop capacity, to develop skills, to become person who can love and sustain love, or might just be truth they carry as permanent devastation while remaining exactly as incapable as they were when they lost you. Why maintaining no contact is you choosing yourself in most powerful way possible. No contact is you believing yourself, believing that your needs matter, that your limits are real, that your boundaries are legitimate, that your decision to protect yourself is valid. Believing yourself is choosing yourself, is trusting your perception over their manipulation, is trusting your experience over their justification, is trusting that you know what you need, and what you need is distance from patterns that were harming you. The self-belief is powerful, is self-love. Is you honoring yourself enough to enforce the boundary that protects you even when enforcing it is hard, even when you miss them, even when you wonder if you should give them another chance, even when they're trying to break the boundary. You maintain it. You choose you. You believe you. That's power. No contact is also you refusing to be responsible for their growth. Their growth is their responsibility. Their healing is their work. Their patterns are their problem to solve. You tried to help, tried to understand, tried to support, and trying didn't change them, didn't make them capable, didn't develop their skills, because you can't grow someone else, can't heal someone else, can't fix someone else. They have to do it, and no contact is you acknowledging that truth, acknowledging that their work is theirs, that you're not responsible for making them capable, not responsible for suffering through their incapacity hoping it transforms into capacity, not responsible for staying until they maybe possibly eventually grow. The releasing of responsibility is freedom, is you unburdening yourself from weight that was never yours to carry, is you choosing your life over their potential, your reality over their possibility, your well-being over their patterns. That's choosing yourself. That's power. No contact is you demonstrating to yourself that you can survive without them, that you're strong enough to enforce the boundary, that you're whole enough to be alone rather than be with someone who can't meet you. The demonstration is proof, is evidence of your strength, is you showing yourself what you're capable of choosing hard right over easy wrong, capable of protecting yourself even when protection is painful, capable of enforcing your boundary even when you love the person you're enforcing it against. The capability is power, is self-knowledge, is confidence that comes from doing hard thing and surviving it, from proving to yourself you're stronger than you thought, more capable than you believed, more committed to yourself than you've ever been. The self-commitment is transformation, is you becoming person who protects herself, who values herself, who chooses herself, who knows she deserves someone who can actually meet her and won't settle for someone who can't, just because she understands why they can't. The becoming is power, is growth, is you using no contact to develop yourself while they face consequences. You're both changing through no contact. You're becoming more whole. They're facing what their patterns cost. Both are appropriate outcomes. Both are exactly what should be happening.